Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming through to the channel. My name is Wejana, and I am a spiritual medium. If you are new, subscribe and press the notification button so that you know when I post videos. Thank you so much for sharing the videos. Thank you for sharing the knowledge. Thank you for your feedback. It humbles me, it flows me all the time. Thank you to people in Canada. Thank you to Zimbabwe. Thank you to Botswana. Thank you to Lesotho. We are getting a lot of traction from Lesotho these days. So thank you to Lesotho. And yes, China and Dubai are still very much faithful to the channel. So we thank the Lord for you. We thank ancestors for the divine reach. Um, let's talk about business today, business and spirituality. How do they connect? How does one serve the other? How does one work with the other? So we are just getting out, or are we getting in? We don't know. We are really in limbo with the COVID situation. Are we getting in? Are we getting out? But we've all been somehow affected, impacted by the COVID situation in the world. Most of you ancestors have taken out of formal employ for the purpose of starting businesses. Most of you have been dreaming of starting businesses and you have this gushing energy and this list, big list of ideas. Every time you are just blossoming with a new idea and you do not know how to allocate those ideas or just put them into paper and run with those ideas. So, those are people that need a spiritual business plan. We'll talk about that. Then there are people who come to consultations, and I would then see that you'll be thriving in business, and I'll be asking, what is this business that you are resisting to get into? So that's another category of people that will not do what their destiny has been showing them to go and embark on. So those are the ones that obviously need a push to go and venture into what is being calling them, what is really calling them. And then you have other category of people who would say, I was in business, it was thriving, and suddenly I just cannot live with this business. I knew what I was supposed to do. Everything that I touched, that I used to touch, is no longer giving me the same results. And that's another category of people that we are going to be talking to today. And then you have other people who are saying, I have a business. I have started. I have bought material. I have bought everything else that is required of this business, but this business just won't shoot up. It is just not go anywhere. It does not have a good or a high vibration, and people don't come to buy or don't interact or don't engage with my business. Then there are other people who are themselves a business, have a business idea, have good experience of the industries that they've been in, they've been serving because of your education, whether you are a geologist, an engineer, a lawyer, a communication as expert, all of you who are now out of, up, yeah, you are just now up to here with what you are doing on the daily, and you still feel strongly about the craft that you learned, the craft that you've been serving in, but you no longer want to serve at the place where you are serving. So you yourself are a resource, you yourself are a business, taking your skill, your know-how, your knowledge, and taking it to another person so that money can be generated there and you can be remunerated monthly, and your ancestors are pushing you into a certain direction and they're saying, but you are the resource. I fall in that category. I've been falling in that category for the longest of time, and I've just not been wanting to be where my destiny is pushing me into. So I'm guilty of that. Let's start. Now, we are here doing African spirituality. There's a whole buzz around African spirituality. Every other turn you take, you find somebody that is beaded, that is, have their turbans, and spirit is really deliberately just taking out their children from everywhere. Ancestors are doing a serious revolution there. And this is an economic revolution today that we'll be talking about with regards to what ancestors are doing in the spirit. Now, you would have went through certain consultations with me or with other people, and you would find that consistently we are talking about there's livestock in your story. There's agriculture in your story. There is activating the business that was ever there in your life, in your family life. Some people have owned shops. Some people have owned butcheries. Some people have owned wholesalers. Some people have owned mortuaries, morgues, and all of those businesses are the legacy, that's the spiritual legacy of the family. And those businesses have sort of stopped to exist. And now you have ancestors saying, out of the maroon, out of the purple, out of the blue, out of whatever color you choose, ancestors just decide to say, Ntabi, tell this person about the butchery that we owned and he must take it up. And I'll be like, I'm seeing a butchery. Ancestors want you to go into it. So there is a revolution currently in the spirit where ancestors are revitalizing the things that they know have worked for them, and now they are handing over the baton to you, and they want this to become a legacy of the family. And people would say, but that's not my passion. It's not about it being your passion, it's about it being a revolution, an economic revolution by ancestors to revitalize things that have worked. And when I say things that have worked, this is what I mean, family. These are things that they have known how to establish. They have established certain markets or distribution channels. You've seen your grandfather do it, you've seen your great grandmother do it. And so you are going to be tapping, even if they did at a lower scale or at a higher scale. But now you are woke, you have the Google is your friend. You have all of these channels where you can sort of amplify on what your own family has done and you can just take it up. And so when Spirit says, but I know this business, they know that they can give you the power to run it successfully. And so, with regards to everybody's ancestors, right now, what I mean is everybody's ancestors are crying. If you were coming from a healer family, they will evoke a healer. If you were coming from a preaching family, they will evoke a preacher. If you were coming from uh, a person, a family that used to, dance somehow, this incited dancing, manchomani, if you are coming from a family where people used to do that, the sound of a drum would always mean something for you to evoke something in your spirit. So ancestors are busy with that kind of a revolution in the spirit. They are rising up and reenacting themselves in many, many other fields. So when you come to consultation and ancestors say this is where you must start, the good question to ask a spiritual practitioner is which ancestor wants that? So that when your business flourishes, we know who to thank. Glory, glory, thank you, we thank you. If your business is getting stuck, you know who to go and ask. This thing is not working out. What's happening? Go fix it. If your business, if this ancestor tells you This is a legacy business, and you must teach it to the next generation and the next generation. It's important to understand which side of the family you are getting the wealth from. There are other people in their families. There is some uncle that was very, very, very rich, and now this uncle wants to give the gift of wealth to another person and is just looking for the next head to bless. Businesses are like gifts, are like spiritual gifts. It will always try to find somebody in the family to bless again, to live through, to happen through. So those are the first kind of people that we're going to be looking that I've just explained. Two, the spirit, the African spirit is trying to raise up African economy currently. You have certain provinces where they would say we are focusing on agriculture, we are focusing on recreation. Recreation falls within our family has been doing certain things, and therefore we are then reliving them, reigniting, recreating them. In a broader scale, recreation would mean in a mining town. Let's go check again if the mining life of this company has completely dissolved, or there are certain things that we can come and recreate in certain places or in certain industries. That's what recreation means, just loosely translated. um and then there's manufacturing. Please, people, I beg of you, if you have a chance to go into manufacturing anything, please do that, because the spirit wants to create an African economy where we are no longer going to be reliant on the Western part of the world to do certain things. And that is what you would have picked up alongside COVID, that there are certain things that would end and will no longer rely on the external or the Western or the importing and exporting facility to help us have. But we need to find machines and create certain things and manufacture certain things amongst ourselves. There is something that's forever been spoken about that is township economy. That is a good concept, but it's also a concept that can be there spiritually, to say I produce mealies, Ntabi comes and buys my mealies, crushes them, produces a certain thing, and the money stays within us. And that is what some of the ancestors used to do. Even spiritually, the bartering and trading was exactly that, that we were in a certain place and just getting the money to revolve amongst us. And therefore, ancestors want to create that loop again. It's a thing of the spirit. In the next 25 years, um, things are going to be very, very different, even economically. And the spirit is using you. So when they are saying go and revitalize that farm of your ancestors, go do it. They will provide a distribution a channel for it. They would find a conveyor belt for it. The thing is for you to pray for the right people, for the right channels, for just the right synergy and alignment in order for you to exercise and bring forth that particular business. There are other people who come here and are really at the end of their tether with regards to how they have been in their professions. And ancestors will say, good, you have a cognitive business. Your business works on your brilliance, on your mind. You're a lawyer, you're a geologist, you're a doctor. You are These are things that are only concerned with you. You can't give your child the lessons. You cannot give your child the baton to say, my child, I'm a lawyer, therefore we are in the legal business. Unless your child goes and learns how to become a lawyer, that's when you can have a legal firm and a legal business. But it depends on somebody else's cognitive power. It depends on your brilliance. So now ancestors are coming through and saying, go and consult. Go and have not consult in spirit. Hey, too many consults. Go and have a consulting business. It relies on your brilliance, but segue into you becoming a resource and monetize yourself. Apart from you taking yourself as a resource and going to a certain mine, going to a certain municipality, going to a certain hospital, you can, with the experience that you've had, find the loopholes, write down what you can do new because of the things that you just could not do, and therefore sell it into the market where you just came from. So, consulting is one of the big things that the spirit is rising people to do. Why? So that when when Chauke has that farming business and Chauke needs a spiritually gifted lawyer to execute a certain um I don't know, a contract or whatever. You have your own close knit net of people. So when I'm saying we are revitalizing the economy, but we are starting with spirit, that's exactly what I mean. So that you have the social structure of people that are spiritually gifted, but are also able to go and live in this world. So we are going to be having, if ancestors want us to have an African spiritual library, then we're going to be having our own civil engineers that understand this thing from a book perspective, that understand this thing from a spiritual perspective, and then we can rise and do something. And in the next coming years, Africa will be completely different. And I'm not saying South Africa, I'm saying Africa. So we would have a certain uprising that, whew, whew, you can see I'm starting to come alive, right? Yeah, because I stood for too long. I stood for too long trying to find ways of how to communicate this thing. And now that I've started, I'm hoping that the staircase effect will now build on the kind of narrative that we'll have. There are certain people that you've deliberately been taken out of your employment, either by the calling, like me, or either by COVID, like many of you who are coming through. Sometimes we do pray you back into the economy because that's what certain ancestors would say. Let them go back, and they'll come into this whole thing, the whole African spirituality economic reform. I don't know how to call it. I'm just making up words like a former government employee. We just make up words like reform, reindustrialization. Sorry, let's focus. Um, and so other people, we would be forced to pray you into. And right now, I must say it's very, very difficult to pray, to help somebody pray for a job, because you are really praying against what's currently happening in the economy. But we get it right. We really do get it right. Now, other people have been taken out because of COVID and they do not know where to start. But the Spirit keeps on saying events, keeps on saying international fashion, open an online boutique, start. Please do start. As a belief, just start. Because you are a smaller puzzle right now for a bigger effect in the future. And businesses like that are businesses that can be transferred and you can build a legacy for your own children. I am really for legacy businesses right now because I'm coming out of spirit where spirit is saying, we want to give our children what we knew. So you must also create it. White people do it all the time, and that's why they can never suffer. That's why they will always have a white monopoly, because you are trying to get into industries that they've already mastered. But our industry, we refuse to master. And when we have mastered it, we don't plow back into our own families and create legacy business. Please do create legacy business. If you have one that you have a base from your ancestors, you must just trust the process and move into it. There are other people that have many ideas, a plethora of ideas. Yo, yeah, no, Gogo, I tried to get into this thing. I tried to get into this thing. Focus. Bring all your energies and write down the ideas that you have. Pray on those ideas that you have. And ask ancestors, who of you is concerned with me having a transport and a tracking business? Why? Because we will pretty much treat it like you've bought a Bugatti. If today I buy a Bugatti and it gives me problems, I cannot take it to Mercedes Benz main trucks. I will have to go and find Bugatti SA and take it wherever to Senten and let it be fixed there, because all else there is no any other place. So that is why it's important for you to understand which spirit is aligned with what business. Who in the spiritual world is giving me this power of business? And therefore, when it's going well, we know who to praise. We know who to slaughter a sheep for and give praise to. Now, most people have had successful businesses, and because they did not know the spiritual identity of whoever has given them the business, then they did not thank the right people. And ancestors were like, "Ugh, she's not thanking us. She's thriving, going to Dubai." Hint, going to Dubai, living her best life, and therefore we will crush the business until this person understands how this business was supposed to have been started, and whose energy and who is supposed to be given credit. So, all of those people whose businesses did not do well, please go and find the spiritual identity of that business and restart. Then there are others um, that have opened businesses and just do not know how to reactivate it. There are others that have had the merchandise, just do not know how to just go about it. You have your CK, in my generation, long time ago. You have your business registration document. You pray for that copy. You would take out a copy and you would put out a green candle, and then you would have your glass of water and you will pray and activate this business. If you are not afraid of ascending a mountain, you can go up the mountain and go pray for that business. Some of you have not trusted your ancestors completely, and you've had to go find a friend and got into the business with a friend because you do not trust your own energy, or you do not trust yourself, or you needed a connection, or you needed a financial investment, and your ancestor said, mm-mm, not our business. In our business, we want to take care of it ourselves so that the credit gets to us. Then you have those kind of people. You have to go and ask your own people to give you strength and direction so that you can restart. And so, by implication, when your ancestors did not want you to have businesses with other people, they could not recognize the energy of the other person in your business, and then they cut them out, or they cut completely the business out. And that's how the business stopped operating or stopped bringing you money. But we need to really assess as to what really happened in that business. I normally give this example of a McDonald's. If I buy a Big Mac meal for my child and I find my child is playing with other kids, I'm going to keep that Big Mac meal until the other children leave so that he can eat it alone and thank me and say, "Oh, but Mama is working so hard for me and she's bringing me nice stuff." I'm not going to take it and share the chips and split the burger and split the lettuce and do all of these things. And at the end of the day, my child goes not having the full taste of what I am capable of bringing to him. And so ancestors will sometimes do that, get everybody else to leave and give you the beggar, because they want that recognition. They want that recognition to say, they want you to give credit where it's due. And this goes beyond most things. This goes beyond just the business. It goes everywhere where you feel that you need to be a part of an association. Some businesses, yes, you can co-op them. Some businesses you can work with business partners, but some others not really. Not really. But when you know which ancestor is aligned to which, their character would tell you. There are certain ancestors that just didn't like people. And when you are here amassing a lot of people in their business space, and then you start to fail. So we will talk a whole lot more, obviously, as content comes through. I have a dream of having a TV show, and in that TV show, I will just be consulting business people and aligning them with spirituality. So instead of me telling you about a person that has run away with your underwear, we are leaving that level. We are moving towards creating generational wealth. So I have a dream of saying, if you are a person that is selling milk and there was somebody else in your family that was selling milk, how do we synergize you and him